Yes, Mambo VP, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mkenyamarekanitv show. It's been a minute before I brought any live recording, inspiring you guys. Tumekuwa tu kwa street na simu every time. So today we have a very special show for those who are interested in health professional, and also we are targeting the boy child because in America we've had so many stories and we've heard that every 10 people who graduate, it's always maybe one boy or two if it's a good graduation. But we are here to inspire today the young people in America, those who are planning to immigrate to the US. You want to climb the ladder from CNA, unaenda juu, nurse. Sasa the person I'll be talking to is also doing a PhD. Hajawacha, anaendelea bado. Wapi makofi ya boy child. So if you're new here, ladies and gentlemen, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, and that's how you will get inspired, okay? And this is how you subscribe before I invite our guest for today. So, and our guest for today is none other than Mr. George Mbugua. Karibu sana, bro. Welcome so much to Kenyamarekanitv. Yes, I'm telling you, today I have to plan all my good English and bring it on the table because I'm dealing with a professional.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here. Yeah.
Absolutely. We are humbled for you accepting our call so that we can inspire our generation.
Okay.
Yeah. So first things first, I just introduced your name, but we want to know who George is, and then we can go on from there. So karibu sana, introduce to us who you are.
Oh yeah, thank you for that question. My name is George Mbugua. I was born and raised in Kiambu County, Kenya, born and raised. I went to school there, and I migrated to the United States about 22 years ago. Yeah, I moved here 2001. My first city was Seattle, Washington. That's where it all started. I was there for about 6 years. Then I went to Kansas City, Kansas for my studies. I went to Kansas City, Kansas Community College for respiratory therapist. I later migrated here in Dallas, Texas. I am a father. I have two children. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I have an 11-year-old son. I am a husband. I am respiratory therapist by trade. And I'm also a host show called Prudential Show. And I'm glad to be here. So, we can talk, inspire somebody. I always say the show that I do on Prudential, my goal is to inform, inspire, and to educate. And I'm here to do that. So it's a pleasure being here. I hope somebody's going to be inspired, somebody's going to be informed, and we're also going to accomplish educating people. Information dissemination, I really like doing this because you don't know who you can impact in our community. So glad to be here and share my story.
Absolutely. First of all, a big salute for the many hats you're wearing. Hey, Ndugu, and you don't say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've listened, and we're gonna dissect what you just introduced to us. Let's first of all understand. You told us you come from a small village in Kenya. So how did you hear about America? Did you ever want to come to the US, or how did it happen?
Yeah, as I said, I grew up in Githunguri. I went to school there, the primary school, high school, and I have an uncle who lives here. He actually lives in Seattle, Washington. His name is John Kimani. So we grew up, hearing about his stories, how he's doing amazing things, here in United States. So I always want to come here and join the rest of the family. I have a big family. They're all based here in Seattle, Washington. And since I was a little child, I always aspired to come, to America for further studies and work here. And here I am 22 years later.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, John Kimani is my good friend, and also my piano student. I am sure he will watch this.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you arrived in the US, what was some of the culture shock? Because everybody thinks when you come to America, you be meeting Kenyans as 𝐉𝐴, which superstars. What was your first experience when you arrived immediately in America?
Okay. The first things first. When I came from Kenya, I came here as a student. My school that I was supposed to go, but I never went. It was in Kansas City, a place called Manhattan, Kansas. But I was actually hosted by somebody that I never met before. Her name is Monica 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿. She is married to Pastor Ben 𝐼𝐻𝐻𝐿. They are based in Kansas City. And my cousin June and Ruth, who live in Seattle, Washington, they asked her whether they can host me because I was my port of entry. The first things first is like, I thought I spoke like really good. I went to school in Kenya, like English is good, but when I came here, people, they can't even understand what you're talking about. You have to kind of like modify how you speak, and so you can fit in the community. Like if you go to the class, they're asking you, what did you say again? Sometimes you have to kind of like, learn the language for Americans so you can fit in the community. The other culture shock is like how, advanced the place is. We come from Kenya, like driving was a big deal back then. Like I came here, I see people who are younger than me. Everybody was driving, they all look like they have a good life. So if I can say the first, experience was pretty amazing. But later, as you stay here, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that, we have seen some people, as you stay here, people, they have get themselves in some other stuff. There's depression. There's so many things that a baggage that come in living in the United States or any foreign country. So it's not only the good side, we have some bad side, and we're pretty sure going to touch on those two as well. The stuff like facing in our community, and I'm sure in Seattle is the same thing here as in Dallas.
So you said you landed first of all in Seattle, Washington. Every Kenyan.
Kansas City, yeah.
You landed where first?
Kansas City. I was supposed to go to school there, but I never went to school there because they were asking for about $5,000 per semester. My mom didn't have that money, so I had to look for an alternative to go to Seattle first to settle down. But after staying in Seattle for 6 years, I later moved back to Kansas City for studies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your goal was really to go back to school.
Yes, I was really determined, but makaratasi, you have to work for that. And as a student, you have to start from the ground up. And we don't have that kind of money coming from home. If you go to school here, your parents have to be able to foot about $500,000 per every term. And that was not I don't come from a rich family, so that was not an option for me. I had to go start working, gather some money, and took myself back to school.
Yeah. So you had to stay focused, because I know many people come here with great ambitions, but you get immersed in the hustle and bustle of America, and you lose your focus. Maybe you want to go back to school, but then masaa, unaingia kwa masaa, you go to doubles, triples, so that becomes a cycle, and you lose track. How did you keep yourself afloat towards your journey, towards your dream?
Yeah. I am known to be a person who like working. If I'm not working, I don't know what I'm doing. I have held 2 jobs since day one because I like, having good stuff, dressing nice, having a good house. And I also like to go to school. So I knew from the get-go, I want to advance my education. I want to have a good life. And I also have some kids back home that I help. So I wanted to impact back home too. So that's why I kept myself busy. Keep working, going to school, always trying to get better each and every day.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, which one was your first career when you came? Working?
My first job was a janitor. So I came here. I did not have any papers, and I really wanted to go to do CNA where my cousins were working. But there's this guy in Seattle, he owned a janitorial company. He took me and I started earning the money the second week, and he was paying me pretty well. And I used to live in Federal Way, and I was going all the way to downtown Seattle. And I used to catch the bus. I think it used to be 174 and 903. And I did that for about, a year. And then later, when I got my documents, I put myself back to school. I did CNA and I started working as a CNA. So my first job was a janitor. Then I moved to CNA. And I did a CNA for about 5 years.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
But your journey was not to stop there.
Yes, I always wanted to go up, up, up. And I'm still in school as we speak. And we're going to talk, more about.
Yeah, absolutely. So after CNA, you've done 5 years. So what next? What did you do next?
Okay, my life in Seattle I felt that it was dominant. I was stagnant. So I really wanted a different environment so I can be able to thrive. So I just packed my stuff. I called my friend who was in Kansas City. We drove all the way from Seattle to Kansas City, and it took us about 2 days. And I went there, enrolled myself in school. Initially, I wanted to do nursing, but they were asking in Kansas, they were asking for green card, proof of green card for you to be able to do nursing. And I was rejected because I didn't have my papers back then. So what I did, I went to the Department of Respiratory Department and I talked to the director there. And I told him, here, this is my classes that I've done. I have done anatomy and physiology. I have done math. I have done statistics, speech. I have all my prerequisites. Do you know more about, I want to know more about this program and can I be able to join this program? He's like, yeah, we're actually having a respiratory program starting next month. If you're going to join that class, you're more than welcome. I submitted my documents and here I am today. I'm a respiratory therapist 15 years later. So it was the best decision I've ever made in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for example, today, if you met somebody and they want to maybe try respiratory like profession, what would you tell them today?
Yeah, it's a good field. The money is good. You will never, stay without money, or you won't stay without affording your bills. So to me, I always say something that I do is a stepping stone. If you aspire to become a doctor, why don't you start? If you're young, you come here in your 20s. If you aspire to become a doctor, start where you can use your respiratory therapies as a stepping stone. If you want to become a director, like start somewhere you want to start as a stepping stone. It's a good course, but you have to learn, how to be brave, how to work in the critical care. All my career, I've been working in the ICU. You have to learn to take care of very sick people, like people on life support. You have to get comfortable of dealing with dead people, like people that are going to die on your shift. And you have to, you're called to go, hey, George, can you go prepare that body and extubate? You can take that body to the mortuary. You have to get comfortable. At first, it was very uncomfortable for me, but as I went by, it's a process of life. And if there are some other people doing it, why can I do it? So you have to be brave enough to know that, you're going to be dealing with sometimes the worst cases. You might getting them motor vehicle accident. The head is busted out, brain coming out, people cut throat, gunshot wounds. So you have to get comfortable and you have to really discern and see whether this is what you actually want to do.
Wow. That's something. That's something very legit. There's something you've mentioned, getting comfortable in some of these things, and normality. And even starting as a CNA, because I know many men come to this place and they get stuck because back home we say our culture, we are not used to kuona uchi wa wanawake, and we've found some men in problems, because maybe they did something against the law of their profession, What are some of the things you can tell men, especially if they want to join because you have to start from there, CNA, going up, and CNA ile kazi, you have to see what we never wish to see, or it's a taboo or something like that.
Yeah.
So what is your word for the men out there? Because I know you're representing the men out here.
Yeah, the first thing I would say is the moral integrity. you're going to be dealing with people seeing, like everything. Like we are not used to that where we come from. We have to respect these as our patients. You cannot, touch people inappropriately. You cannot actually talk about people. When you take care of these people, you have to, keep some of the conversations are, off limits. The other thing I would say is good work ethics. I know some people have got in trouble. We have had cases, people, rape cases, people just touching these people inappropriately, So I think work ethics and moral integrity comes first, and knowing where we come from. And I know there are so many social aspects that lead people to do that kind of stuff. I think if I really have to, I can't stress enough the moral integrity that come in any healthcare profession. You cannot touch people inappropriately. You cannot, discuss them in a way. This is a patient who, given you that trust, you're going to be taking care of them. And if you violate that right, you can find yourself in a very compromising situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in your position right now, you have some rank that you talked about. Probably, I don't know. When we come to America, there is a fear we always have, and some people they're in Kenya, but they're in the US. We are afraid to unearth our potential here because all our life is in Kenya. We think about just Kenya while we are in the superpower where there are a bunch of opportunities. But you unearthed your potential and you kept on going. Right now, you have some authority. You're not just a lower. You have an authority. Talk to us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah. So when I talk about respiratory therapy, is a field that I feel that it has given me an opportunity to work in some of the best hospitals in the United States. I started off at University of Kansas. And I was actually, when I was in school, somebody told me, "Mbona unafanya respiratory? Hiyo ni kazi ya wazungu. You never get a job."
Yeah.
The lady I was talking to say, my husband did and never got a job. And I say, wow, that's very interesting. And I still went pursue it. And when I was in my second year, I secured 2 jobs as a respiratory therapy student.
Wow.
And when I graduated from Kansas, I already had 2 jobs, 2 full-time jobs. I was working 3 days here, 3 days there. So don't let people, tell you that you're not going to be able to get a job just because you're Black, just because you have an accent. I have an accent, just because you're from Kenya.
Yeah.
When I moved to Texas, I found myself, going through the ranks. I have worked in some of the best hospitals here. I have worked at Baylor University Medical Center. I have worked at University of Texas Southwestern. I have worked at Children's Hospital, which is one of the best hospitals in the US. And I don't take things for granted. I don't ask for, the mediocre job. I say, if you want somebody to work in the ICU, I'll be that person. If you want somebody to be rounded with the doctors, I'll be that person. If you want somebody to go do the intubation for people who are on life support, I want to be that person. If you want somebody to go on the transport with the helicopter, I want to be that person. So I'm always a go-getter. Recently, I started a new career, a new journey. I am now the director of respiratory therapy in one of the hospitals here in Texas. And is a job that I was highly contested by some other candidate. And I came out strong. Number one is because they found that I'm very confident with what I did. They look at my resume, the way I present myself. And it's one thing to say that, you can be good on resume, but if you speak, how are you speaking to these people? I'm sure there are so many people who are American who apply for that job. They never got it.
Yeah.
I didn't get it because I have an accent or anything like that, but it's because the qualifications. I'm beyond what people say that, oh, you never get that job because Americans are not going to give you that job. I never settle for less. I always going high, high, high. And I believe this is not where I'm going to stop. I'm going to climbing the ladder. and maybe a CEO somewhere someday. I
Wow.
believe strongly that you have to believe in yourself. You have to be confident.
Mhm.
When you go for that interview, I don't think I've gone for very few interviews that I didn't get a job, because
Yeah.
I go there with confidence and I tell them I know what I'm doing. I'm the right candidate,
Mhm.
and I believe this is just a starting, and I'm looking to go even higher up the ranks.
Wow.
Yeah.
What I'm understanding from this conversation is there is a thin line between confidence and pride.
Yes.
And sometimes
Exactly.
people confuse pride for confidence. In
Yes.
America, you need
Hmm.
from when you go to the interview at the embassy, they want
Yes.
to see somebody who is confident in themselves and you can convince.
Look them in the eye and tell them this is what I want. This is who I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow. Wow. That's fantastic. What are some of the challenges you've had since you started your career path?
As a respiratory in general, or like the direct, I can talk about
Yeah,
challenges
both. Yeah.
as respiratory in general.
Mhm.
One of the challenges that I have, dealt with is dealing with the sick of the sickest. I remember when I worked at Children's Hospital that I used to work in the cardiac ICU. Some of the kids are born with what is called congenital diseases,
Mhm.
and I'll be the person to go and pull the plug. And it's really a somber moment, going to, pull the plug on a 10-year-old or 5-year-old, knowing that I have my own kids. I could be the one who's sitting in that chair watching my child gasping their last breath.
Yeah.
The other challenge I would say, it's sometimes you feel like you're overworked. Respiratory field, it's a job that you have to. We always joke like, put your rolling skate on the moment you go there. 12 hours. Sometimes you can go without a break. You start in the morning. You have to start in the ICU, go to the emergency room. You take people to the MRI. You take them to CT scan. You are intubating patient. You're dealing with emergencies. You're dealing with somebody came through the emergency room. They broke the water and they're gonna, give birth, and you have to take care of that baby, because I'm also taking care of the babies as well. So
Mhm.
the challenges of taking care of the sick of the sickest and dealing with so many deaths. I remember during COVID, I used to uh, go and have like 8 patients on the ventilator, and by the end of the shift, I only have like 4. All my job that day was just dealing with deaths, and you know, it was just a horrific time. And but sometimes you have to soldier on and do it. And to me, it's just a calling that you have to do what you gotta do.
Yeah. How do you deal with that mentally? Because death. Speaking of death, I don't know here if the issue of death is a little diluted because when back home when somebody dies, yani it's a huge
Yeah.
thing, but still it's still a big thing, whether at home or here. Have you ever have you been dealing with that mentally for yourself?
You have to be mentally prepared and knowing that this is a journey for all of us, right?
Mhm.
And I, when I was in Kenya, I was like, oh, why do people work in the morgue? In the mortuary? I can never do that. And those people actually, they smoke for them to be able to do that. And I found myself on the receiving end because I have taken care of the dead bodies.
Mhm.
When you are told to go take the tube when somebody died to us, and George, can you go prepare, take that tube because the family want to come and see their loved ones. And I find myself sometimes I'm in the room with a dead body and I gotta do what you gotta do. So you have to get prepared mentally and knowing that this is the journey we all have to be. So I actually don't fear or feel any type of a way when I see a dead body, because I have seen so many in the hospital.
Yeah.
So many people have died in my care. So this is something that I see that it's just like a normal routine for me, and death is part of what I do.
Yeah.
So it doesn't bother me at all. So I'm prepared for it mentally, and it actually doesn't bother me at all.
I think here in America or these countries, I think we've learned, we've accepted that there's death, and the reception thereof is kind of relaxed a little bit. Because I try to picture a family comes to see their loved person who is dead, and back home when a family comes to see their dead one. You know, the two different receptions, and it's accepting that that's the way of everybody.
And
Death is
it
inevitable.
make you like being in America makes you look death in a different way because they actually don't cry. Like they come and just do this, and I'm like, wow, are you kidding me?
Mimi nangoja mtu atoe nduru bwana.
Because back home, people, they are fainting, you're lifting them up, and they're taken to the hospital. But these people, I don't know how they're built, because you tell them your dad just died, and they'll just come there, just keep them, they just wipe a little bit, and that's it. You never see them again, and that's the end of the story. It was actually very shocking to me because I was not used to that. Like everybody died, and I'm used to people crying, but here it's the part of life. They live in a different level when it comes to how they deal with the grief and death. They are more prepared. They buy their own, cemetery and prepare everything before they die. And even not only those people who are sick, most people, they have advanced directives, and they tell you where they want to be buried and where, and they're making payment when they're alive. So it's part of the life here in US.
Yeah. I think, I saw a video on TikTok that one of the government representative, he said he was coming to address the media, and he said, "I'm late because my wife just died in the morning. Let's continue." Yeah. I'm like, bro.
Really? Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Talking of, as we conclude this topic of death is too much. It's one of the culture shock in America. And what about admitting the morphine? Was that like a culture shock for you, because it's something we've never experienced?
Admitting what?
Would you call it morphine? What is it called? That thing that you admit in so somebody like a comfort as they go.
Oh, the morphine, right? The morphine trip, like they give. Yeah. It actually helps. So it's very common when you work in the ICU. All my career, I've been in the ICU for the last 15 years. Oh. When people, they're the last stages of death, so you don't want them to, gasp for air or like die in a really bad way. So you just want them to be comfortable as much as they can. So it makes them calm. It makes them like, not, we call it air hungry, not to gasp like that. So they can just transition in a good way or in a very comfortable way. And family, they're very particular in that because they don't want their loved one to
suffer.
Pass, spend their last minutes here on earth, gasping and air hungry. They want to be as comfortable as they can.
Wow, thank you for educating us on that, especially me.
Yes, I'm here for it.
Wow. Asante sana. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges now. Being in America, just general challenges, dealing with the work, family, because some people say, America, you don't have time for social, you don't have time for family, you don't have... just demystify that a little bit, because people mostly say...
My goodness, I think we all have one or another suffered. As I said from the beginning, like once you live in this country, it's all fun and games. Okay, I'm going to America, I'm going there for greener pastures. But I think one of the things that I've seen here, and I'm also a show host, and I have hosted people on my Prudential show, is depression. It don't matter how much money you make, or if I call it like a mental illness in general.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter whether you are a lawyer, you're a respiratory therapist, you're an RN. Mental illness is something that I don't know what it is. I think is the social aspect that we live here in the United States, that everything you're running. And I always tell people back home that you're lucky because you're not paying any rent. If you live in the village or you own your home, there are so many life stressors here. You can't even imagine. You have your own kids, but you don't even spend time with them because you have to go work. The other thing I would say is the marriages seem not to be working at all. People that have differences, and I don't know why. It's everywhere, but I think it's a little bit too much here in US. We have differences. The husband is working, the wife is working, and the marriage is on attack. Actually, somebody was joking, was saying that the marriage is going to be one of those endangered species in years to come, because people, they cannot live together anymore. The other challenges that I see, yes, we want to have fun, but I'm talking to 𝐉𝐤𝐻, but your job cannot be just drinking like every time you go home. Like, I drink, I have fun. I travel a lot actually, but I have a limit. Am I going to be drinking every day? We have seen people dying because of alcoholism. It can kill. You can't even function. You can't even, if you just calling off work because you are dealing with hangover somewhere. That is troublesome. I think the boy child, especially the immigrants, we have seen like a lot of challenges here just because we come here to this life is a capitalistic nation where everything is you run for the dollars, and we get carried away, and in that way our marriages are getting messed up. We're dealing with the mental illness, with alcoholism, into drugs, and I think it's a high time to kind of take time, reflect, and get yourself where you are in terms of how you can cope with this life, because so many stressors out there.
Yeah, I think you've really dived into a dimension that it's very good to come from you, because we are dealing with young men, 16 years. In Seattle, we buried 16 years who was caught doing, these gun issues. They are able to use guns, and I don't know whether it comes from parents working too much or the freedom that there is in America to do with drugs. You can just walk in a shop and get a drug. You can get yourself a gun and use it. I don't know what it is, but it's affecting the boy child a lot. And I don't know what we can do as to affect these people positively and to gather them back to the shade. So what are some of your advice with that?
Yeah, I think we are in a different generation now. The way we are raised, we can't raise our kids like that. The schools they are going, the drugs are everywhere, and this is the truth. And they start seeing these drugs as young as 10 years old. So it's up on us to really talk to our kids, know where they are every time, spend time with them. I know I could have done better, if I'd be asked, because I'm always working. I'm not saying that I'm always like the perfect person when it comes to advising how people should raise their kids, but I'm just saying in general, I think we need to spend more time with them. Like the dad, the dad son, moment, the dad daughter moment, so they don't get caught up with this. And I think the other thing is the freedom that we have here.
Yeah.
You see the boy we have, we buy all these gadgets. They have these phones, they have iPads, they have games they're playing. You don't know what they're watching sometimes, and we don't spend a lot of time with them or much time with them to know what exactly they're watching on the internet or who are they talking to. If you have a phone, I think my first phone I got when I came here to United States, but now kids are getting when they're like 4 years old. So it's just like a lot of the culture we are living in, the technology, and people, they are getting exposed to this as much younger. than we were in our days. So we have to really talk to them in not in a confrontational way, but to
Yeah.
kind of see where they are and
Yeah.
where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. What about the issue? I don't know. We're just discussing issues, and not that we are perfect or anything. But we found again, because our children now are in the middle. They are not too Kenyan. They are not too American. And sometimes our parents are forced them to be one-sided, to be too much Kenyan, while they want to be Americanized. Do you think sometimes it causes imbalance or some sort of disturbance,
Yes,
destabilization?
we have to know we live in America. They are born and raised here, right? So this is their home first before they are Kenyan. Actually, they are Kenyan American. They're American more, I think, than Kenyan. But we still cannot lose our values and morals. There are so many things here you see, and you're like, if it's my kid, I will not let that happen.
Yeah.
You know very well, and I have worked with people there, I have friends, they tell you they're atheists, they don't believe in God. They grow up in homes that, God was non-existent, and they're okay with it. They grow up, seeing that as a normal thing. But our kids, I think we have to know them like we have morals. We are either Christian or whatever you believe in. You have to follow that moral etiquette for you to be a good person in the society. So
Mhm.
as long as we want to be raising them as an Americans, we have to keep reminding them, you're Kenyan. You have to do this. This is how we did it. This is how you do it. But you cannot just be authoritarian, like we have to be like a Kenyan where you live in American. I guess
Yeah.
there's that balance, but
Mhm.
we lead by that example. If you don't go to church, don't expect them to go to church. If you drinking every day, don't expect them not to drink. If you smoke in front of them, don't expect them not to smoke. So I think we have to set standard and they follow suit.
Yep. It's the monkey do, monkey
Yes.
see, monkey do.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm looking at your CV a little bit, and you've quite won some few awards. Maybe let's get to hear about these. Maybe not everybody knows about these. You've
Yeah.
won some few awards.
Yes. My whatever my Prudential show, when I was hosting, I got to meet with rap shoulders with a lot of people that I never thought I would never met. Um, my first, because I also am a professional moderator. I'm not an MC per se, but I do moderate professional shows. I do award shows.
Mm.
Any kind of professional moderation, I'll do it. I have done quite a few in the past few years. And I was moderating this event where CJ Maraga, Chief Justice, former CJ Maraga, was here in Dallas, Texas, and I was one who was leading that, symposium, so to speak. And I got an award there for, the community organizing, impacting the community as a community organizer. I
Yeah.
got that. It's this organization called 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻, is the Kenyan diaspora organization that was founded by my good friend David Ochwangi. I got another award and actually came there in Seattle, Washington, by Kenya Diaspora Circle.
Mm.
That award I got because I was involved in, spreading their word. I did their interview, and I really impacted a lot of people and ended up joining in that circle. There's another moderation that I do. I moderated this show or this forum through 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻. The keynote speaker was David was Mother Karua and Musalia Mudavadi, and they came with another dignitaries there, and I was able to organize and moderate that event. What other awards I have got? I've gotten quite a few, but so far, that's what I do. I have interviewed the politicians. I've interviewed a few presidents of various organizations, CEOs. I have interviewed like Boniface Mwangi. And my job is really to highlight and showcase the diasporas who are making impact in our community. And I'm very passionate about it. As I said from the beginning, my job is just to inform, inspire, and to educate. And I really like doing that. And although my show is in hiatus, I'll come back with actually better and better content. But for right now, I'm taking a break.
Wow. Thank you so much. That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Just being so busy, but still being creative, inspiring everybody, finding that balance.
Yeah. You got to find that balance. Yeah.
It's a gift. It's a gift.
It's called finding purpose in life,
Yes.
Living, purpose-driven life, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. George, I really want to thank you for stopping by in Kenyamarekanitv, and let's inspire these people. You never know who will watch this show. This is a global village, so you never know who will watch and they get inspired. So
one thing that I was gonna say, for the boy child who feel that we have to find, like, you have a platform, I have a platform. I think it's a really good platform for us to inspire these young people. I do want to share that I almost quit respiratory before the COVID. I went back to school and I did some finance. I'm also a finance major. And later I did my MBA during the COVID time. And right now, I just want to highlight so I can, inspire somebody. I'm doing my PhD through University of Cumberland. It's based in Kentucky. Hopefully, I'll be done in 2 years. And I really, really hope to even impact more people, mentor more people. If your people have any questions there about respiratory therapy, you can reach me anytime. I'll be glad to help and offer any advice that I may have.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so kind of you. So we want to thank you so much for honoring Kenyamarekanitv and just stopping by. Hopefully we can have this conversation when we become a doctor.
Oh yeah. I'll join in 2 years. That would be good. Yeah.
We like to highlight some of the great things Kenyans are doing so that our people, it's not show off. You can confuse a testimony and a show off.
And it's called showcasing. Yeah.
Showcasing.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. How can guys find you on social platforms?
I'm on Facebook. My name is 𝐺𝐢, like 𝐺EORGIE, 𝐺𝐢𝐬, Mbugua. And you can hit my inbox. I think that's the easiest way to reach me.
Yeah.
I'm not very active on Instagram. I do have a page, George Mbugua, a page. I can also be reached up there, but also they can reach to you and you can relay that message to me, or you can give my contact if somebody really want to reach me.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I used to have a YouTube channel, have not been active on it. YouTube, it's just not easy for YouTube, but I'll revive it once I come back with a Prudential show. I'll revive my YouTube channel, but right now, currently, no, I'm not. Don't have any Prudential show there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, if you have any question, you've heard for yourselves, you can reach Mr. George Mbugua in all his platforms. Na unaweza uliza maswali mawili matatu, especially kama unataka kujoin hiyo angle ya his career path. So, and we can never be somebody else, but we can learn from people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Thank you so much for stopping by. God bless you.
Alrighty. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Asante sana.
Alrighty. Thanks.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was our show for today. Hope you've learned a thing or two, or many things. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing, and also you can become our member. That means you can join. There's a join button. You can be paying a small subscription fee, so that you can support the work we are doing. We spend hours to bring you inspiring shows so that our people can be transformed. So if you appreciate our work, yeah, why not? You can support us, become a member, pay $1 per month, $3, $10, and it's per month, or $50 or $100. Yeah, no pressure at all. So keep it here ndani ya Mkenya Marekani. God bless you. Tutaonana baadaye inshallah. Mungu awajalie mema. See ya.